Hey guys, I'm back. And a couple things before we get into this. Number one, I paused Happy Gilmore to do this. So you have to know how much I love this box. I'm doing a Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore kind of marathon. I mean, it's only 2 movies, but still, I'll watch them 5 times each. God, I love those. Number 2, I have come up with my final decision on patch arrangements for this. We're done. I got them. But, so here's why I'm stupid. And I feel like I have to say this in so many videos. So apparently, on the card, the packing list. Okay, so what happened was, you know how I don't like to read directions a whole lot? There's a packing order. It shows you how to put exactly everything into the damn pouch. And me not reading directions, I just didn't. Yeah, everything fits perfectly. When you read the thing and look at the thing and there's pictures of the thing. So the plus items don't fit in the pouch. The plus items are extra. Not everybody gets them, right? You have to subscribe to that higher level. And I do that so we can all look at all the cool stuff. But everything that comes in the standard box fits perfectly in here if you follow their instructions. However, the one plus item that does fit perfect, this is what they were talking about with the tourniquet fits on the bottom. And I kind of had this sense. Remember I had the power shears over here and then I took them off. Well, you don't remember that I took them off because I took them off. I just sort of felt like maybe this is what they were talking about because bottom. And then it was confirmed to me that yes, this is what they meant by on the bottom. So there's why I'm stupid today. Tomorrow will be another reason. But we've got medic box. So this is box number 3. This is going to close out our duty IFAK. So this is going to load up our individual first aid kit. And from here, I think we move into phase 2, which is the car maybe. I don't know. We'll find out when we open up the box. I'm really excited. And big shout out to all my Patreon contributors who, you know, they fund a lot of stuff that I don't directly say like, oh, Patreon this, Patreon that. But this entire box comes directly from the contributions of Patreon members. So, can I open the box is the question here. Okay, that works. There we go. This whole box is all directly due to the funding of Patreon folks who contribute and help me do stuff on this channel. Awesome. So let's see what we got. There's a lot of stuff. I noticed there's a lot of stuff in this box. I feel like there's like got to be a lot of stuff that goes into here. Oh, is there 4 boxes that fit into... Is there 4 boxes that fits into the IFAK? Okay. Or maybe not. Maybe we jump into box number 4 over there and they just have them separated. I guess. Yeah. Okay. So we are done. This is the final box in the IFAK. And we're going to see what we get today. Pictures right there. Pictures right there. See all the letters, the numbers, and shit. Shows you right where to put stuff. I'm just an idiot. I didn't even look. I read off the card. I didn't even look. So, got a Fenix light. We have a... Ooh, is this a knife? A rescue knife? It's by Stack Gear. All right, I got to be honest. I don't have high hopes. Stack Gear, but I've been burned by their stuff before. Not literally burned. You got to be careful saying that in a medical box. But let's... Oh, no red stuff. Huh? But a box for Peter Kitty Cat. And of course, it being medic box, let's set the mood off right. Let's do it. Let's warn the folks who aren't familiar with how into this medical stuff I get. Stations, all stations. We have medical items in the box. I repeat, medical items.
Better get the old man down here. President's in his limousine. They're diverting to Andrews. The vice president is out of position, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs is on his way.
Priority traffic. We are now at DEFCON 3. Incoming medical rant. Okay, if you're joining us, this is your first time watching a video on my channel, medical-wise. Weren't there just 2 of these? Yeah, there it is. The first 8 of my 21 years in the military was as a combat medic, and I also put time in, volunteer firefighter, city EMS, working in the emergency room. So yeah, I really love medical stuff, and I tend to go off on a tear about stuff. So grab some popcorn, get comfortable. We may be here a while. So in this box, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we've got 2 items in the Pro. I do not see how we stick all of this stuff in... Well, some of it's not intended to go in the pouch. All right, I get it. But to give you a rescue litter? That's pretty damn cool. We'll talk to it as we get to it. Is this the... This is the drag. Sorry, I'm just looking at stuff. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We're gonna go. So I mentioned this before. I wonder if they're gonna give you a face shield. And I mentioned this before. Gloves. Remember I said I didn't want to stick stuff in because we got the really cool glove pouch last time. All right, so let's go. So we've got the pouch already. Let's talk about what we get on this. So we're gonna get a T3 rescue tool, the quick litter light. I'm an idiot. It says right there, quick litter light. This is why I'm stupid now as opposed to 5 minutes ago. Wound prep pack, nitrile gloves ×2. So are these 2 pairs of nitrile gloves? I keep a whole box. I keep a box of nitrile gloves right here in this room. I got another one downstairs. I got another one for car. We'll talk about nitrile. I'll tell you about nitrile. We'll talk about nitrile and why nitrile versus latex versus... What's the other one? We'll talk about the other one when it comes up. I can't remember, but it sucks. CPR face shield, we'll talk about why that's important, a real life scenario, and then we'll talk about our 2 Pro items. So I believe that this is a Pro item, and this is a Pro item, so we will neatly move them to under the camera right there, and then we can start. So first we got the T3 rescue tool. I'm not gonna like this. No, I shouldn't say that. I might like this, because I remember we got that Remington rescue light, the Remington rescue knife, once upon a time. And at first I was like, what the hell? And it is now, it is like, I love it. It's like a gold standard rescue knife I judge other rescue knives against. It's just stat gear that they had one really good knife, and then everything else they made really just let me down, left me feeling flat. So, do not eat. This obviously, because it has its own pouch, now that I understand the theory of the whole thing, this is not meant to go in or attach to. So if you got some kind of like a duty belt or something, you could have your para shears, this, your other glove pouch, and this is separate. So the pouch it's got some rigidity, not like really rigid, but like a semi-rigid shape. I can feel that if the rescue tool wasn't in there, it would press, but it holds the shape for you, which is nice. And decent quality on it. Okay, I like it. Good quality snap, which some people overlook, but you know, if this thing goes to hell on you, then you know, how are you going to secure this? Just stick some Velcro on it? Maybe, but even then, you know, that's a whole lot of sewing job. And okay. Single belt loop, or scout carry if you want, or strap this to your other gear. Now the tool itself. Oh. It's got a soft touch kind of finish. It does have its own separate belt clip, which is a little tighter than I think it needs to be, but no, that's good. It's good. You see we've got a seatbelt / line cutter right here. Oh, I like the fact that it's sharpened on both sides. Okay. Now, where is the lock for this? I'm sure I'll discover it. There it is. Okay. This is a window punch. It's a spring-loaded window punch. It doesn't have actual instructions, so... It is. Okay. So this, which you really can't see right now, and I wish I had something to demonstrate it against, but I don't, because there's carpet under this. You need a really hard, firm surface. So this has a spring-loaded carbide tip in there, and what you do is you push this until it clicks. You'll hear it click, and it will. The truth is I don't exactly know how these things work. I just know they do work. So you push this in, and the tip is spring-loaded, and every time you click it, it self-loads itself. You don't have to like re-chamber it or I can't think of the word I'm looking for. You don't have to reset it or anything like that. It just always is. And as you put this flat against a window and push, when this goes flush with this, it will trigger that, and it will shatter your car window. You put this low in the corner of the car window, not of the windshield, but of one of the side windows, and it should bring that window down for you when you need to gain access. You can use it to escape from a car or to gain access to a car. So it's good to have yourself to get, like if you're in the car. Or 440C is not bad steel. All right, you know what? I said I wasn't gonna like. No, I don't like it. Tactical auto rescue tool. So, stand by. Okay, brief pause to find the Remington rescue knife. That is now my perfect example of what a rescue knife / tool would be. And a little love nip by a Mora that slipped out of its case in its little holding box, because Moras have no traction or anything in the case. So let's look at this blade versus this one. You need to slip a knife blade under a seatbelt or under anything, but near the, we'll say, I don't want to say victim, but the accident victim, near the patient, near the person you're trying to help. This is a blade that is not going to let you hurt them accidentally in the process, but still has a fine cutting edge, still has a serrated section for cutting ropes and lines or whatever. Here's what happens when you need to try to go underneath, say, the person's seatbelt or something, and oops, sorry about that. Let me just cut under this piece of clothing here. Oops, sorry about that. No rescue knife should ever have a spear point, drop point, any kind of point. No point. None. This is what a rescue knife should look like. Period. Dot. End of sentence. There's a number of reasons why I like this rescue knife. And as I was going through, this had some great features. It really did, until I opened up the knife. And then I was like, nah, hold. It doesn't make the rest of the tools on here useless. It just, I can never, in fact, these are the same seals, 440C. I could never use this if I was going to be trying to use it as an extrication tool, to try to help somebody out. Also, notice the difference in the width of the steel. Let me try to get a close-up and see how much thicker this blade stock is than this one. Now, they chose this one for a reason. I do, like I said, I love that it has the spring-loaded window breaker as opposed to this one, which you just have to kind of bash with your own strength. This one doesn't have a light. This one seems to have a light on it. Ooh, and I love that it turns off when you let go. It doesn't need to be super bright because you're not using this to navigate your way through a hallway. This is so you can light up a small area right there where you're trying to see what you're doing. These lights should not be super bright. You can even use this just like the pen light. Remember we talked about the pen light inside this kit is for evaluating a patient, not for, mini mag light use. So this actually has use like that. And I would suspect that you could probably, I don't want to look like a dumbass. Yeah, this has a removable battery right here. And see how this is not pointed so I can use it and pry with it without breaking a tip? This has a battery right here. So it's, the whole thing isn't bad. It's just this blade, well, and I do have to give this thing props for this. This blade, very, very shooty outy, whereas this one, it's a little difference. And this one has a flipper that just does not flip. Well, okay, wait, I cheated. Let me give it no wrist. Yeah. Anyway, But you'll see also they're both very chunky. And that is not only because they have different tools in them, but also because you know, with a rescue knife, you're going to be probably wearing gloved hands. So you want something very easy to grip onto with a big gloved hand. This one also happens to have some other stuff in it. This one, oh, did I turn the lock off? The hook is a little bit longer, so you can get it in and under some things. This, to me, this Remington is the ideal rescue knife. I love it to death. I forgot where I got it. This has some good tools on it. I just wouldn't use this knife blade. All the other tools totally valid. I wouldn't use that knife blade for rescue stuff. But anyway, let me see something. Come on, there we go. Look at that. Okay. All right. So there's that. We got that. Number 2, the Quick Litter Light with a load capacity of 750 pounds. It's a big guy. Serves as a reliable stretcher for casualty evacuation. Has a compact design, fits into most tactical pants, pockets, or bags. Heavy-duty, latex-free nylon webbing with 10 handles. I am not going to open this because this is... Oh, is this compressed? Is this already packaged up? Well, I'm afraid that, like, if I open this, I'm going to open it and I'm never going to fold it back down again. I like the fact that it's nice and compressed and I can leave it like this. So a litter stretcher, kind of the same thing pretty much for our discussions here. A litter is something that you will fold up that you can use to just get a casualty out of the area. In the military, we have green fold-up ones. They come in different patterns and different designs, but you can see here, so you've got big straps for where the head and the feet would go. You also have straps on the side. What this is really cool for, you can make sort of a modified Stokes basket with it, which means you can wrap it up around the casualty. So, like, let's say you have to... A Stokes basket is a rigid thing. It is like when you see a helicopter lifting that basket, like it looks like a long structure, but it's a basket. It protects the whole patient, the whole casualty as they're coming out. We used to use our softer litters to make a modified Stokes basket where we would wrap it up around them and secure the handles, and that way they had it was a term we used. I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but that way it would protect their overhead, their faces, their body, and we could either have just a couple people. These handles are probably a little big, so you get them 1 or 2 people carry them. Litter is generally made to be used by 2 people. It's absolutely not a 1-person carry. You at least need 2 people, 1 at the head, 1 at the foot. And you have to coordinate your lifting for 2 reasons. Number 1, your own back and knees. But number 2, you don't want to put any more stress on the person you have on there. And there's some different techniques you use to properly roll the casualty. I keep wanting to say the victim, but I don't want to use that in terms of this, because then it sounds like you're victimizing them. I talked before about the potential for broken neck, broken back. You can literally kill somebody, and I have seen back home in New York years and years and years and years ago, I have seen the neck fracture that was not fully broken, and the term fracture means a broken bone, but sometimes we use it to differentiate the difference between like a compound fracture, means like a broken, it's coming out, you see it. Sometimes you hear people use that term to mean a fracture is like a little crack, as opposed to a broken bone. So that's what I'm using it here for. Like, they had a crack. They had the neck was, yes, broken, but hadn't separated, hadn't cut through the spinal cord or anything like that. And there's a reason that when professionals come across a car scene where it looks like there's a traumatic injury, they tell the passengers, don't move. And we come in and we do special things to stabilize the cervical spine. That's the part of the neck that holds your head up. And so I did see a scene where somebody actually ended up being killed because of a lack of proper C-spine immobilization, where they went full broken neck. And, so your spinal cord goes through there, and all those messages from your brain that makes like your heart beat, your lungs breathe, and all that stuff, it goes through that all those nerves and everything that come out of the bottom of your brain, and go down to your body. Once you sever that connection, the body doesn't get the messages to start working or to continue working or to do anything. So depending on where in the neck, you can survive a broken neck with full basic paralysis. You know, basically, I don't mean God, I can't speak tonight. Basically, with full paralysis to the point where you need assisted breathing. You're in a chair. You're quadriplegic. You need all kinds of tubes and wires and everything, and that's terrible. Further down, you know, you could have your basic autonomic functions, but you know, you're still quadriplegic. Lower down in the back, you still could have arm function, but you know. So anyway, the whole point of the litter is to get them out of there and try to maintain integrity of the body as is, not cause any more damage. There are those kinds of situations though where you just have to get them the hell out of there, and just you're weighing, I know they're going to die if they stay right here, versus something else might happen if I just get them the hell out of here, but I know they're going to die if I don't move them. There's a whole lot that goes into it. Anyway, this looks pretty cool because it lets you do a lot. If it's, I don't know, it doesn't look like there's any rigid anything that goes through it, which would give you some kind of backboard, some kind of immobilization for the back. I don't think there is, but you can easily take care of that with, I think I mentioned before, you know, we had used once upon a time, used a door as a rigid backboard, or you can use, just be creative. You can use things that you might need to put in there to help stabilize. I don't want to get too into it tonight. Trying to make this not an hour-long video. So this is really cool though, and it's very lightweight. And they say it's disposable, but you probably could disinfect this and use it again. If it's nylon, if you need to use it more than once, cool. This does not go in here, so this is an extra kind of thing that you could put in a pack, or like they suggest, pockets or whatever. All right, let's look at the wound prep pack. It includes alcohol prep pads, Sandy hands towelettes, BZK antiseptic towelettes. Yeah, doesn't everybody have fun when I cannot pronounce I always say benzochlorian or benzochloride, but that's not what it is at all. Povidone, iodine prep pads. Why can't you just say iodine? And sting relief pads. So this wound prep, I'm going to take a look. They do give you a lot of stuff. Little alcohol pads, antiseptic, iodine. So you can using iodine versus say alcohol. I mean, in the hospital setting, iodine is really if you're going to be doing some cutting into the body, you put iodine, and it's kind of a different. So sting relief stuff. What is the active ingredient? Is this like a topical Benadryl type thing or whatever? Let's listen to me butcher the actual active ingredient in this thing. I can't even see it. All right, I can't even read it with my glasses. And this is, what's in here? Ethyl alcohol. Guess what this is? Oh, wait, ethyl alcohol? Ethyl alcohol. I'm just thinking of something right now. And I'm not even going to go into it. Okay, never mind. What else is in this? Never mind, I'm not even going to go and get into it. I'm not. So basically, you've got a lot of things that can kill surface germs. None of this should be used internally. If you've got a cut or an incision, a laceration, you shouldn't be putting this internal to the body. If you've got a light abrasion, sure, you can use this. The iodine probably would be great for that. But this is like your surface germ killing stuff. Especially, you know, this is a wound prep pack, but remember I said in the last episode we wear gloves because if it's wet and it's not yours, don't touch it. But if you're in that situation where you've got to make the choice and you find yourself with somebody's bodily fluids on you for some reason, that's when this stuff would be really good to use. So just give yourself a little scrub down and get their gross, disgusting, sticky, wet fluids off of you. Trying to go lighter on all the medical stuff. I know some of you really like it, but the videos get to be super long. So, nothing bad to have in this. I mean, nothing I wouldn't want to have. Not at all. Okay. Next, nitrile gloves. Okay, so, said we were going to talk about this. So once upon a time, gloves were all latex rubber because it was a very convenient thing to be. The problem is, they noticed one day that patients and medical people alike, they discovered latex allergies were a thing. And for a long time it was, well, screw you. Do you want to have an allergic reaction? Or, you know, do you want to just not get treated? What were the other kinds of gloves? They were the plastic ones, like the food service gloves. They had those in hospitals, those types of gloves. I hated them because they don't form fit to your hand. They weren't the exact same kinds of gloves. Were they not? I cannot think, and somebody's going to fill it in the comments if I don't think of it before then. So they were latex gloves, but, you know, you could ask somebody, like, do you have any latex allergies, and then use them if they don't. Or sometimes people don't even know what allergies they have till something sets it off. And, you know, in a pre-hospital environment, that's the last place you want to be dealing with anaphylaxis, which is the kind of allergy that you need an EpiPen for, where all of a sudden your body tries to go nuts protecting itself from an allergy by killing itself, which is basically what happens. It's just a complete overblown body reaction to all this, that, and the other. But that's what the EpiPen does. And an EpiPen, by the way, in the moment, during one of these anaphylactic episodes, it's not a cure for it. It's a timeout. If you give somebody an EpiPen and you don't follow it up by immediately bringing them to the emergency room, you could end up in the situation. You most likely are going to end up in a situation where, after a very short period of time, that anaphylactic episode comes back, but stronger than it was before once the epi wears off. So always follow up an EpiPen administration by going straight to the hospital. If they, you know, somebody has an EpiPen, like I have to carry an EpiPen for something. And yeah, so what the hell are those gloves made of? Oh, well, anyway, the other gloves, they were loose, they weren't form-fitting, they got in the way, they didn't feel real good. I hated them. Then one day, nitrile was a thing. Nitrile is an artificial man-made product. Now, this is a fact. The human body can only have an allergic reaction to natural things because there are no enzymes. Allergic reactions are based on enzymes. There are no enzymes in the world made in the body to break down artificial things. Now, there might be natural elements that go with an artificial thing. Like somebody said, I'm allergic to paint. And I said, I'll bet you you're not. I'll bet you are allergic to some natural element that is a component that goes into that paint, but you're not allergic to house paint. There's no way to be allergic to nitrile because nitrile is not a natural substance. It is man-made. Whereas latex is actually a plant-based substance. You can have that predisposition. You can have that enzyme that goes crazy over latex. So nitrile fits as close to natural latex as possible. It is not as elasticy. It doesn't like cling to the hand, but you can see that it's pretty damn good. And you can feel, you get actual feeling of texture through the fingers, whereas these other gloves, you can't. God, what am I thinking? What the hell are those gloves? I don't know. And they protect you just as well as latex or anything else. They can be a little bit fragile. Again, they have some give to them, some elasticity, but they don't have the same stretch as nylon, as latex. So if you do overstretch them, they will eventually just kind of rip and break. This one's doing pretty good, actually. But they also will see how they stay a little bit stretched out. They don't work exactly like rubber, but they're very good, perfect blood barrier, keep you safe from all the gross, disgusting, wet, gross, disgusting. Yeah, so I've gotten the point through that other people's wet stuff is disgusting, right? And don't touch it? Yeah. So nitrile is pretty good. Vinyl! That's the other kind of glove. I told you I'd figure it out. Vinyl gloves suck. Okay, so, all right, enough of that. Hey, have I ever showed you guys how to take off gloves properly? Once you've got other people's wet, nasty, disgusting crap all over them? All right, okay, hold on. I can do this since we have it right here. So this is basic stuff you learn in whatever, any level of healthcare training, or you should anyway. So you've got dirty, wet, they make cool sounds. Dirty, wet, disgusting other people's wet fluids on them gloves. So the first thing you want to do is you want to see, dirty side, clean side, get the dirty side, hook a finger underneath, turn it inside out, because now you can touch the clean inside outside, ball it up, get your finger underneath the clean side. Guess what? Now you have a nice clean, dirty side in package of disgusting gloves, and you can toss them wherever they go. Okay, cool. The final item we have in this box is a CPR face shield. And I remember I said, I wonder if they're going to give you a CPR mask or a CPR shield or face shield or whatever. So the two places you're going to encounter other people's dirty, disgusting, wet stuff is probably blood. And the other place is going to be from their mouth. And CPR is a life-saving thing that you can do. First of all, forget the movie stuff. If you're doing CPR on somebody, the chances of them then suddenly waking up and going like, oh, thank you, you've saved my life, are like zero. That's not how it works. I guess theoretically it could happen, but CPR itself, the idea is not, all right, if you're doing CPR, the person no longer has a pulse. The body has just stopped. The heart's not beating. The lungs aren't breathing. They're not doing stuff. You're doing it for them. And the point of CPR is not to make the body start again. You're not trying to restart a pulse. You're not trying to get them to start breathing. You're not. You're maintaining. You're doing the job for them so that you can get that person, so that they can make it to that higher level of medical care that has the ability, that has the options to try stuff that may restart those body processes. And I don't think in any of my medical time, have I ever encountered somebody ever that we've done CPR on who has just spontaneously started, respirations or gotten a heartbeat back. And I'd have to say probably 90% of the time, somebody that we did CPR on probably just ended up dying, because for the most part, you go out on a call, and if you're doing CPR, it's probably somebody who's old, somebody, and they're at that lifespan limit, somebody who has ingested some kind of chemical substance, and or it's the result of a traumatic injury, and so there's damage there anyway. Now that doesn't mean that you don't try it, because it's the only thing they got going on. You do it, and CPR when done right is exhaustive, because for reasons. But anyway, there can be spontaneous reflexes in the body that still happen, that still work, responses that are not connected to a conscious mind. Yeah, somebody with no pulse, no breathing can throw up right in your mouth as you're doing CPR. You can accidentally put air into the stomach instead of the lungs, and when that air comes out, it can take stuff with them. They could have blood, saliva, mucus, phlegm, other stuff in the airway. There's all sorts of another level of gross, disgusting, wet stuff in the mouth nose area. So the CPR face shield is basically a one-way valve. This one would be not a mask, but a face shield. It's a piece of plastic. It's going to go over the casualty's face. It's going to have a one-way valve that allows you to lean in, give your rescue breaths, go in, but nothing's going to come back up. And I have seen, it has not happened to me. Oh, thank you, medical gods. It has not happened to me where I've had somebody's lunch come back up. But I've been there when it's happened to somebody else. And it's one of those moments. I get, okay, emergency medicine attracts a certain kind of person. And it is going to be the kind of person that is going to laugh at the person, even in that terrible situation, where somebody's life is at stake, that just had the unconscious body throw up in their mouth doing CPR. You're gonna, if you're in the field, you're probably going to laugh. And if you don't laugh, A, I don't trust you, running calls with me, or B, you're just way more mature than me, and I probably don't want to hang out with you anyway, because you're not going to watch Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and laugh at the appropriate jokes with me. So there. Just the same way our gloves protect our hands from coming in contact with any kind of pathogens that might transmit gross, horrible diseases to us. We protect our hands, which is what comes in contact with the body most. This is going to protect our airway, both nasal and oral, and it's going to protect us from any other liquid, blood-borne, saliva-borne, mucus-borne, anything like that stuff from getting back up to us. And there is filthy, disgusting stuff. The human mouth is a disgusting, germ-ridden place. And I'm going to tell you, when I first started going through medical training, I didn't want to kiss the girl I was going out with for a month, because I was like, do you have any idea? Do you have any idea what's in your mouth? Like, do you have the first clue what is in your mouth? But then she was like, well, if that's gross, maybe the rest of me is gross, and you don't want to touch any of that either. And I was like, okay, come here, never mind. That snapped me out of it. So, anyway, let's follow the cool guide here and put everything away. So this is going to go on top of, where does this go? Wound stuff. 3 goes underneath the scissors. Let's make sure we got all the air squirted out of the bag. Ooh, did you hear that? That was a good sound. So that's going to go under our trauma shears. Oh, it's going to go over our trauma shears. Anyway, it's just easier to get this in with the trauma shears out. And then 5 is going to go on top of that. They make these little CPR masks and face shields in this compact kind of thing that you can put on your keys. They make it like once you're, like there are some, and when I was teaching for the Red Cross, we do these, they'd hire the Red Cross to send instructors to do offices, to teach offices, or like lifeguards, when we do like the professional rescuer CPR for pools or facilities and stuff during summertime, they're required to provide the life-saving skills, because they're on staff. So we would recommend that, listen, you have to do this stuff when called upon to do it. So get yourself a little, face shield that you can put on your keychain, get a little pair of gloves you can put on your keychain, whatever. Because they have those things available. Like, just look on Amazon or whatever. If you have a whole kit like this, that's great. But if you're just, I'm specifying if you are the kind of good person, there are some states where you have to provide assistance if they know you're trained. There are some states where they're like, hey, it's up to you. You don't have to help. But if you do and you screw up, you're in trouble. And then there are other states where, like New York is one of them, despite whatever that Seinfeld stupid episode was, where they have what they call Good Samaritan laws, which says that as long as you provide reasonable and prudent care within your skill level of training and don't go outside the bounds of what is taught in that skill level. So like, for instance, if you know first aid, you don't try to take a knife and a pen and jab it into somebody's neck and make an emergency tracheotomy or something. You don't do crazy stuff like that. Then they cannot sue you, or you cannot be held criminally liable for stuff that goes wrong. In a lot of situations, you're going to do the best you can, and things are not going to work out all hunky-dory. But you doing the best you can might be the difference between, okay, things are not all hunky-dory, but at least they have not died before they got to the hospital environment. You know what I mean? So I encourage you to do that. Now, this is pretty full, but because I followed the actual picture, it actually all fits, and it's pretty well filled out little pack. First aid, remember, it's a first aid kit, so it's not like a medic bag or anything like that. Here we go. So that is the standard. That's what comes in our phase 1 duty individual first aid kit. We've got all 3 boxes. But wait, there's more. We have our 2 pro items. So let's start with the drag strap kit. Heavy duty tactical drag strap, holds up to 1,500 pounds with a MOLLE pouch. Here's a MOLLE pouch. And if you're not familiar with how these ones work, so these can, hold on, I might need 2 hands. You can do these a couple different ways. So you can pass them through like this, or you can unfold them and pull them out. But the point is, once you put them through, the folded fabric holds them fairly well. I mean, if you give them a good rip on it, you know, you can pull it out of the webbing, but that's how it's supposed to work. Has a center D-ring and Velcro to show the midpoint of the strap. That's cool, to make it easier for placing over the patient. So drag strap, remember we have our quick litter, and they're talking about tactical drag. So this is more of a tactical, I was gonna say, yeah, they said tactical drag. This is more of a tactical thing. When you got to low crawl around, or I guess you could use it for other stuff than that. Like it's not the safest way for the patient to get the hell out of Dodge, but you can use this. Oh, I'm never gonna get this folded up again. Anyway, it's a strap. It does exactly what it says. You can place it securely around the patient in various ways, so that you can then pull them. You can drag them out of the danger zone to where you can provide better treatment, to where you can then exfil them or medevac them somewhere else. But this is pretty good to have. I've never used this in this particular brand in a military type environment. Once upon a time, we all used to wear those cool, like that when I first got in, the TA-50 gear, web gear, the cool suspenders. I made a whole video about this kind of gear once upon a time. This was years ago. I'll put a little linky-doo up there. You can check it out if you want. But the evolution of the gear we wear. Before it was all, you know, body armor vests with gear you strap directly onto it, we had these OD green. And I guess, well, I was never in the desert before we actually had vests and plate carriers and stuff like that. But anyway, so we had these, it was a Y suspender. So you had these 2, I'll probably have to illustrate with a picture on the screen, but you had these 2 heavy duty straps that came down the front that clipped onto the front of your belt. And then one that came down the back that was a little lighter duty, and it had like a little, came off with 2 things. Anyway, you would use that. You would just grab that and you'd pull your buddy out of you know, the AOR that way. Once we started wearing tack vests, because tack vests was the evolutionary step between the suspenders and, you know, actual body armor. We had flak vests. And I was in when we still had flak vests, which was standard issue, which could protect you from not flak. We called them flak, you know, because that's the name of them. But it wasn't. That goes back to World War II bomber crews. It protected you from flying fragments, but not bullets. But it would protect you from like shell fragments, grenade fragments. It had a little drag handle on the back of it, and you could grab. It does. I'm pretty sure it did. But the that went under your TA-50 gear. So you put the vest on, and then you put your TA-50 gear on over it, so you can still grab the straps. When we went to tack vests, which was now a vest, it didn't hold a plate. It didn't have body armor, but it was now a vest that you wore. And it had magazine pouches sewn directly onto it. You couldn't customize it and stuff. They didn't have PALS webbing and everything yet. So it came with these angled magazine pouches. You held 4 on each side. You know, so 4 on the upper, I believe it was, like 2 and 2, and then a single magazine pouch, and then it had a single grenade pouch. You held a single grenade on each side, and then your web belt kind of, it clipped in. It had like a little, you wrap it around. Anyway, that had a drag handle on it, and you drag somebody out with that if you needed to. are combat vehicle crew suits, which looked a lot like flight suits. I guess they still do. I don't know what they wear in armored vehicles now, but I mean, back to Bradley, scouting days and stuff, and tankers in Abrams crewmen. It was a Nomex thing. If you were spending a lot of time in the back of the vehicle, because if a fire broke out, it would protect you. But if you had to in order to lift somebody out of a turret hatch or the upper hatch top of a Bradley, the difference between a flight suit and this, it was a thicker OD green, heavier thing than a flight suit, but also it had the drag handle out, so you could lift somebody directly out. And now, current day plate carriers, both civilian tactical style and the military issue ones, have a drag handle, so you can actually drag somebody. So what you could use this for is if the person doesn't have that, and also you could use something like this to give you a lot more leverage, because you could, well, I don't know if leverage is the right word, but instead of having to be right there up on the person holding on to their vest or whatever, you could use this to let the line out a little and kind of drag them. You could also wrap it around your arm a couple times, so you could. I have a limited space here to show you how it works, but these these drag straps give you more options than just using just the handle on the back of it. So you could do like a firefighter's drag if you've ever seen how that is. It's cool to have. I'm glad I have it. It's the kind of thing where, again, it's going to be more of a heavy duty item, not something that you're just going to have in your personal first aid kit, but that's why it's a plus item. It's definitely something that, like, if I had myself, I would be like, hey guys, I want you all to know where my drag strap is. We can use it for anybody, but I especially want you to know where it is if I need it. And then, put it on wherever here. Let's look at the Fenix pen light. Now, I want to point out once again, this thing only goes to 70 lumens, because just like I pointed out with the pen light that we got last month, this is not a light that you're going to use to light up the world, and you're going to. I'm assuming that it's supposed to be a better quality, reusable version of the one that we have in the pack. I don't know how many lumens that is, but you're going to be shining it in people's eyes. You don't want to blind them. Fenix makes some very good quality lights. Instructions. I may read it or I may not. Warm. Wait, it does UV? It does UV and warm white. I'm kind of a cool white liking guy, but whatever. All right, let's avoid reading the instructions like we always do. Just go right for this. All right, so let's just click it once and see what happens. It's on. Yeah, that's about... Oh, nice. Okay, so... It's got a memory mode. All right, so I figured it out, like all by myself. So you've got your little tail cap switch here, and you click it, and then to change the light mode, you just half press, and it goes through low, medium, and high. And really, just to check pupil responses and everything, I mean, this low is good enough, because I just shined it in my own eye. It's bright enough. But then you've got low, medium, and high. And I'd say 70 lumens this is more than you want to shine in somebody's eye. So this gives you a good, just working right in front of your face kind of light. This is the UV. I love having a UV light. It's great. Why is UV great to have in a little, first aid kit pen light? If you're inside a vehicle, if you're working, just at night in a restricted area, even in a building in the dark, UV is going to let you visualize some wounds and everything really well. So that's very cool. But you can go from your low power, which, like I said, is good enough to do your pupillary responses, medium, and then to high. And like I said, it has a memory mode. So if you click it off and turn it on, it goes right back to that memory mode. And then you can cycle right through again. This is a great light. I really like it. It's very lightweight and very compact. So high is 70 lumens, 40 minutes. And then it's gonna go, why is this so, maybe if I use the light, I can read it better. Oh, okay, so they've got, cool. I'm always saying sometimes if you use an alkaline battery versus a rechargeable, so you get 40 minutes with an alkaline battery, you got 45 minutes with a rechargeable battery. Throws light out, this is on high powered, 48 meters. Medium is 25 lumens. 2 hours 40 minutes with alkaline. 2 hours 55 minutes with rechargeable. 27 meter throw. IP68, so it is dust proof. I don't know if proof is the right word, but yeah, dust and particles won't get in it. And you can let it sit underwater for 2 meters for at least 30 minutes, which is cool. Low power is 1 lumen. 75 hours with alkaline. 46 hours. I think that is the greatest difference right there, the 1 lumen. With rechargeable, distance out to 6 meters, and your UV light is a 200 milliwatt UV. And that has to do with the wavelength and everything. 4 hours or 3 hours on the UV light. So this, technically, you could replace what you've got in there with this little guy. And that would be pretty cool. I may or may not do that. I don't know. But it comes with a warranty card and a whole lot of other stuff that would have been so much easier to read. Oh my gosh. So much easier to read. And that is our whole, that finishes our phase 1 duty IFAK. I know I felt weird doing this one. I don't know. Am I like a little, it's late at night. I'm a little amped up. I had a little extra jelly on my peanut butter and jelly. Might have had a little too much caffeine. So I hope I did a decent job on this one. I'm really kind of excited that this is the last one of this phase, and we can move into the next phase, which is sorry, I'm looking at what we get for the Medic Box Academy members thing. Coming next, Emergency Bleeding Control Part 2. I might watch those just to refresh. See, if there's medicine, especially emergency medicine, is always moving and always changing. And what was cutting edge, what was the standard practice of the day last year could be entirely different. Like, I know that CPR has changed. Like, if I tried to even do CPR, I could still do CPR as I learned CPR last, but I'm pretty sure it is completely out of date. And here's a great example. So I talked about those Good Samaritan laws. If I performed CPR the way that I know to perform CPR, I'm not even so sure I'd be covered by Good Samaritan laws right now, because that's not what is considered reasonable and prudent today. I could be covered maybe because that's how I was last trained on it, and I'd be performing how I was last trained, but it's not how they teach people to do it today. And like, just in the time that I was an instructor, and this is a long time ago, it changed. I mean, we used to say 15 and 2 when it's just you, 5 and 1 when it's everyone, and that was the difference between basic CPR for the bystander and professional rescuer CPR, because then it was the difference between doing CPR with you doing your chest compressions and then giving breaths mouth to mouth, or giving chest compressions and then having somebody breathe with a bag valve mask, or breathe mouth to mouth, whatever, but it was just different standards. And then they changed it to different numbers. And then there was this whole, you just put 2 rescue breaths in the beginning, and then you just continue to pump on the heart. And then I think it changed to, you don't even have to give breaths, because the body's going to use whatever air was in the last breaths they took. But then it changed again. I don't even know. Medicine, especially emergency medicine, is always changing. When I first was trained at, in Army Medic School to do our basic EMT course, there was something called a hair traction splint. And that was, it was for a lower extent, and military anti-shock trousers. Those pieces of equipment don't even exist anymore. And they worked very well for what they were, but there were some significant challenges presented to the hospital once you showed up with somebody in a hair traction splint, which stabilized a long bone fracture or an open fracture, especially of the thigh. It also could work very well for a compound tib-fib fracture of the lower leg, the hair I'm talking about. Masked military anti-shock trousers, that's based on a G-suit, on a flight suit, and that is somebody who is experiencing severe blood loss and a certain type of shock. You'd put it on them and you'd inflate it, and it would basically compress their legs and their lower abdomen and pump all the blood up into the upper body. And in theory, keep the blood up so that the brain was supplied with the best supply of oxygenated blood it could have, because nothing's going down to the legs, or minimal amounts going down to the legs. But the problem is, you started to build up a significant amount of pressure right where on the lower abdomen where the mast came to. So as soon as that pressure was relieved, you'd end up with almost a squirting effect coming out of the bottom of, down to the lower extremities. Patients would sometimes just bottom out. The blood pressure would just, they'd have, similar to something we call syncope, which is where it's a fainting episode, but it would be similar effects to it, because all the blood that we've now kept in the upper body, it would equalize in a way that all this pressure that had built up would just flood the lower extremities with blood, and it would be like if you had, a pitcher of water and all of a sudden you tipped it over, and it would, or a lot of times the ER staff, not understanding that we couldn't just go out and get another masked set, would just cut through the damn things and then make, it's a balloon basically, making them completely useless. And they were very expensive. But I'm talking, this is back when I went through medic school in 1997. Yeah, there are pieces of equipment that don't even exist in emergency medicine anymore, that I was trained and knew how to use very well. And I'll tell you, having your buddy put the mask, the hair traction splint on you, and just kind of give your leg a little stretch sometimes could feel very relaxing. Like, oh yeah, my joints needed that. I told you that long drawn out thing to say, I think I will check out all their little courses. At first I said I don't need these little courses because I've seen this all, blah, blah, blah. But I think it is worth seeing what what instructors of today say it is, because I remember my stuff very well as I was trained. And, I got out of, I retired out in 2017, but even then my last 5 years was as an instructor. So from late 2012, that's when I PCS'd out of my last field deployable unit in 2012, somewhere around the September timeframe. So I would not have had any field medical level training, because there are different levels. Even when I was no longer a combat medic, but I was still, a guy that potentially would rifle in hand deploying out to do things. We had to have various levels of medical training just to go out and do stuff. So yeah, it is worth looking into. Even if you're getting this box and you are have been medically trained, we're a medical professional or whatever, it's always worth seeing what the new current most up-to-date stuff is. And to say, oh well, I already know that stuff. Unless you just got your certification yesterday, hey, there might be some new things to learn. So, all right. Anyway, I don't like this part of this. Everything else about it, I like that the light is this button. You don't have to worry about remembering to turn it off later. You know what we didn't do? We didn't even check the... I think there's a little too much serrated edge on there for me anyway, but I recognize this might not work here. I get it. Oh, but oh my god, this is like razor sharp. This will cut you through any seatbelt, any cords. You could probably cut yourself from your risers if you find yourself parachuting entangled in a tree or anything else. Awesome. Yeah, I like this except for the blade, but I've already explained that. I think this is cool to have, just as a, I have it just in case. I really like this. I really like this. This is another one of those things that you really won't appreciate until you have to use it. And at that point, you will be wiping sweat from your brow going, oh my God, thank God we have this thing. This just saved the day. And we've got our fully packed up, phase 1, box 1, 2, and 3. I'm very happy with the subscription so far. And I hope you guys are not unhappy with listening to me talking about it as much as I do so far. You guys will have to check me on that and let me know. So I'm thinking, yeah, next month we go into phase 2, box number 1, which starts vehicle. And I'm just really curious how that would work out. I really want to get to EDC. I really want to know what's up with EDC. But, we have phase 2 next to look at. So I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. Thanks for spending time with me and allowing me to, rant and rave this stuff as we go through it and walk down memory lane. Remember that you guys are all absolutely awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll be back again real soon.